Discover the incredible bond. Little girl's heartwarming plea for a home and a mommy unveiled on. In the heart of Maplewood, America. The air crackled with an unusual energy one fateful afternoon. 8-year-old Lily, a spirited girl with bright blue eyes and a cascade of curly brown hair, stood at the podium during a town hall meeting. The packed room was tense, filled with familiar townsfolk worried about losing the joyful spark that was Lily. She was the heartbeat of the community, a symbol of resilience despite a life marked by heartbreak. Orphaned and alone, she had woven herself into the fabric of this close-knit town, and now everyone was holding their breath, waiting for her words, hoping that she could save what was left of their beloved home. Please listen to me. Lily's voice broke as she clutched the side of the podium, her small frame dwarfed by the towering chair meant for adults. The rustle of worried whispers filled the room. I love Maplewood. This is my home. It's not about how big your house is or how many toys you have. It's about the love and laughter we share. Her cheeks flushed with emotion, and though she called family Mr. Thompson with his silver hair, Miss Clara with her knitting needles constantly at work watched, tears welling in their eyes. Lily continued, her words spilling out like warmth from a glowing hearth. Every day I come to the community center and tell you stories. You tell me stories too. You've taught me about the stars and the feelings in my heart. I don't want to leave that behind. Each phrase carved a fresh wave of emotion across the audience, a sweet mix of pride and dread. Yet, the new family, blooming with wealth and whispers of grandeur, lingered like a shadow over her vibrant world. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue as Lily's thoughts whirled. The audience paid attention, caught between love for her and the undeniable allure of a fresh beginning. Her words turned heavy, filled with grit and sincerity. I want family. But family is about roots and laughter, not just having money. The silence wrapped around her like a warm blanket, every face reflecting what was unspoken. Love had a different currency here. Inspired, the townsfolk began to stir. Mr. Thompson shared the tale of how he had given up his big dreams to run the local bakery, just to help the town stay alive. Miss Clara chimed in with heartwarming stories of struggle and support, while others joined in, recounting their sacrifices for the community, weaving a tapestry of belonging and connection. As voices rose around her, Lily felt something shift in the room. Her heart raced at the thought that she might not have to choose between wealth and nurturing love. She saw her makeshift family rallying behind her, each voice echoing that no matter what, real family grows from the bonds we share. The room buzzed with newfound hope, but the echoes of uncertainty edged closer. Would Maplewood let her choose the warmth of their roots, or the glimmering facade of luxury? The sun streamed through the windows, but Lily's world hung in a delicate balance, awaiting a resolution that felt just beyond reach. Lily stood at the podium, her heart racing as the room buzzed around her. Faces she recognized, faces filled with love and support, glowed back at her. But amidst the sea of warmth, the looming presence of the wealthy newcomers felt like an anchor pulling at her very being. Would they really take away the laughter, the warmth, and the stories so vital to her heart? Just then Mrs. Henderson, one of the longest-serving members of the town's council, stood up. With her silver hair catching the sunlight, she cleared her throat, visibly moved by Lily's genuine plea. This child is right, she proclaimed, her voice strong. This is more than a place. It's a home filled with love. We need to remember what binds us together. We have the power to choose what Maplewood means to us. A ripple of murmurs washed through the crowd, and Lily's heart soared. She could see Mr. Thompson's eyes brightening, and Miss Clara nodding in agreement. The room had come alive, an energy circulating among them, stirring hopes long thought buried. Lily's words resonate with us, Mr. Thompson said, his voice carrying through the crowd. I've seen the joy in her eyes when she shares stories of our town. It's not about what we gain. It's about what we give. His words resonated strongly, the crowd now uniting under a common purpose. Lily took a deep breath, feeling the strength of their support washing over her. a protective shield against the weight of uncertainty. This was her chance to stand even taller. "We can find a way," she implored, looking around the room. "We can show everyone that love is the most important thing. That's what makes us who we are." More people rose to voice their thoughts. A young man spoke up about the time he found a stray dog and brought it home. How the entire community pitched in to care for it. "That's family, right? Taking care of each other?" he asked, glancing around, garnering nods and murmurs of agreement. Lily felt a flame ignite inside her. It wasn't just hope. It was a belief that they could truly shift the tide. The newcomer family, she reminded herself, may have wealth, but they didn't have what mattered most: this fierce, nurturing bond. With each story shared, the tension eased, replaced by laughter and memories. The excitement in the room swelled. They were no longer just a town. They were a family, bound by shared history and dreams of what could be. Suddenly, the doors of the town hall swung open, and a figure stepped inside. Lily squinted, feeling her heart jab in her chest. It was Mr. Donovan, the leader of the newcomer family. He strode down the aisle and the room fell silent, each person bracing for what he might say as he approached the podium. A million thoughts raced through Lily's mind. Would he speak against her? Would he dismiss everything they had shared? But as he reached for the microphone, a glimmer of uncertainty crossed his face. The room grew thick with anticipation, and all eyes were on him, the collective heartbeat of Maplewood quickening in unison. "Lily," he began, his voice steady but hesitant, "I've been listening, and I think we need to talk." The hushed murmur of the crowd erupted in a gasp, and Lily's heart pounded. What would he say next? Would they be able to keep their home? In that moment, everything felt fragile, teetering on the edge of possibility. The future of Maplewood hung in the balance, and the next words out of Mr. Donovan's mouth would change everything. "What comes next?" Mr. Donovan continued, his eyes scanning the room, lingering on Lily. "You have every right to be here today, every right to speak your truth. Maplewood has always been about community, and I believe we need to find a way to bring everyone together, including my family." A wave of confusion rippled through the crowd. For a moment, Lily could hardly breathe, the weight of his statement sinking in but not quite forming complete understanding. "Are you saying you want to stay?" Mrs. Henderson called out, her voice cutting through the uncertainty, a spark of hope igniting once more. Did Mr. Donovan raised his hand, not in dismissal, but in acknowledgement. "I must admit," he said slowly, "when we arrived I had a very different vision for this place. A vision driven by profit and expansion. But listening to all of you today I see something else. Something more powerful." His gaze returned to Lily, a mixture of contemplation and admiration on his face. "Something I want to be a part of." Lily could hardly process his words. Each one felt like a thread, weaving a new fabric for her beloved town. But she worried if reality could truly match the beautiful tapestry of hope being spun before her. The crowd erupted into murmurs. Some people looked skeptical. Others had tears welling in their eyes, the emotion palpable as they searched for reassurance. "What do you propose?" Mr. Thompson asked, stepping forward. "Can you commit to working with us, to preserving what makes Maplewood special?" Mr. Donovan paused, the moment stretching as the weight of the question hung in the air. "Yes," he finally said, "I promise that my family and I will invest not just in infrastructure but in community programs, events, projects. We want to help you continue the traditions you cherish." He took a breath, clearly meaning his next words. "But I need your help too. We want to create spaces where everyone, newcomers and long-timers alike, can share their stories and build together." Lily's heart began to beat in a steady rhythm, each pulse filled with hope. Could this truly be a new beginning? Was it possible to forge a bond that could blend both worlds? Her gaze flickered over the crowd. Mrs. Henderson was nodding. Mr. Thompson looked thoughtful. Even Miss Clara, who had taken a back seat during the discussions, was now visibly leaning forward, a hint of a smile on her lips. "My friends," Lily said, stepping forward with newfound courage, "what if we embrace this chance? If we open ourselves to them, maybe we could create a bigger, better Maplewood without losing what we love." "This could be a turning point," Mr. Thompson added, his enthusiasm contagious. "If we do this right together, think of all we could accomplish." With every word, Lily could almost feel the fabric of community stretching and growing, ready to encompass not just the familiar faces but new ones as well. But then, just as the excitement began to swell again, Mr. Donovan lowered his voice. "I can give you my commitment." But his expression shifted, and tension flickered in the air. "My family has been through a lot and we need to make sure we're all really on the same page. If we go forward, it has to be genuine." Lily's heart tightened. She hadn't thought of the challenges they would all face together. What if they weren't ready? Were they truly prepared to welcome change? "This is only the beginning," she whispered to herself, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. How could she ensure their home stayed safe while welcoming newcomers? As the murmurs in the room began to rise again, with both excitement and apprehension filling the air, Lily and everyone knew this was not just a conversation. It was a turning point, and the stakes couldn't be higher. "Can we find a way?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, full of uncertainty yet laced with determination, with silence hanging thick around them. The next move loomed like a question mark over Maplewood. Would they seize this moment for change, or would it slip through their fingers? The atmosphere vibrated with electric tension, as each person in the room felt the weight of the moment. Lily stood at the forefront, her heart racing. She could sense the collective breath being held, a town at a crossroads, and she desperately wanted to lead them into a future where they could thrive together. "Let us brainstorm," Lily blurted out, suddenly inspired. "What if we hold a town meeting to share ideas? We could plan events that celebrate both the history of Maplewood and the fresh perspectives that newcomers can bring." The murmurs began to swell into a chorus of agreement. People exchanged glances of encouragement, the hesitation slowly lifting. It was like watching the dawn break after a long dark night. Hope was pushing through. "I like that," Mrs. Henderson replied, her voice rising with enthusiasm. "We can invite Mr. Donovan's family to the next 4th of July picnic. It could be a chance for them to meet everyone in a relaxed setting." "Absolutely," Mr. Thompson chimed in, his eyes sparkling. "And we can use that opportunity to showcase our local traditions, our arts, and everything that makes Maplewood unique." Lily's heart swelled with pride as ideas bounced around the room like vibrant fireworks. Each suggestion added a layer of excitement and possibility, and she could hear laughter and chatter building. It was the sound of a community stirring to life. As the vision for the future began to take shape, Lily turned to Mr. Donovan, who watched in awe as the crowd united around a single narrative. "Would your family be open to participating in all this?" she asked, her voice filled with newfound strength. Mr. Donovan smiled, a mix of surprise and admiration shining through. "More than anything," he replied, "we want to know what makes Maplewood special from your perspective. We can't do this alone, but together we can build something authentic, something that resonates with everyone's hearts." The joy shifted in the room, a syncopated rhythm of hope and anticipation. But just as easily as the atmosphere brightened, shadows crept into the edges of Lily's mind. She felt a quickening doubt. What if their plans weren't enough? What if the differences were too great to bridge? What if this all falls apart? Lily whispered to herself, a creeping thought pressing heavy against her heart. The corners of the event hall glowed softly, flickering lights above illuminating the faces of friends and strangers alike. They were ready to embrace change, yet there lay uncertainty beneath the surface. Would they be able to remain the Maplewood they cherished while inviting something new? "Remember," Mr. Donovan interjected, his voice calm but firm, "the path forward will not always be easy. It requires commitment, understanding, and sometimes hard conversations. If we're serious about this, we can't just gloss over our challenges." His words landed with a thud. A chorus of nods followed, acknowledging the truth in his statement. This wouldn't be just about fun gatherings at the park or bridging gaps between cultures. Deep work lay ahead, demanding openness and vulnerability from everyone involved. Lily stood at the edge of the unfolding conversation, her heart pounding. She had stirred some hope, but now she felt the weight of responsibility pressing down harder than before. Was it wise to rally so much excitement without clarity on the challenges in front of them? A voice called out from the back. "How do we make sure we all feel heard?" The question hung in the air, a stark reminder of the complexities that lay ahead. It was a challenge, a cornerstone of trust, and Lily knew if they didn't address it, all their efforts could crumble. As she pondered how to guide them through this uncertainty, a thought flashed in her mind. What would it take to truly listen, to create a space where every voice mattered? Lily inhaled deeply, a sense of determination flooding through her veins. This was her moment to step fully into the conversation, but as she opened her mouth to speak, she felt the pressure of expectation. Would she find the right words to lead her community through the depths of doubt and into a brighter tomorrow? She was about to find out. Lily took a steadying breath, her thoughts swirling as she gathered the courage to speak. "Thank you for that question," she began, her voice steadying as she scanned the room, meeting the eyes of townsfolk who shared her vision, but also her fear. "We need to create a space where everyone feels valued, not just in gatherings but in our day-to-day lives." A low murmur of approval rippled through the crowd. It was a good start, but she sensed the hesitation still lingering. What if we made it a priority to include everyone in our planning committee? We could have representatives from every voice, every culture. Mrs. Henderson raised a hand, eager to contribute. But how do we navigate the moments when opinions clash? It's easy to agree now, but when disputes arise, just take a step back, someone nearby suggested. Listening doesn't mean we have to compromise who we are, does it? Lily smiled at the shift taking place. Exactly. It's important to recognize that this community thrives on diversity. Let us embrace it. We can learn from each other's experiences while holding on to what makes us, us. Mr. Donovan nodded, his brow furrowed in thoughtful consideration. As long as we promise to keep the lines of communication open, even when it gets tough. That's when we learn the most about each other. A wave of determination surged through Lily. "We could also set up monthly circles," she exclaimed, wrapping her excitement around each word. "These wouldn't just be meetings. They'd be opportunities to share stories, and not just the fun ones either. We can talk about our struggles too. That's how we grow." An older gentleman, Mr. Jenkins, leaned in, his voice gruff but passionate. Back in the day, that's how we got through the hard times. We'd gather, share our troubles and triumphs, and walk away with a sense of community. We can do that again. The room buzzed with energy, voices intertwining. It felt alive, electricity crackled in the air as hope danced around them. Yet, in the center of it all, Lily couldn't ignore the deep-seated worry that remained. She knew that every soul was not yet on board. What about those who still stood by, skeptical or even resentful of change? As if sensing her unease, Mr. Donovan spoke softly. "Lily, it's okay to acknowledge the hard parts. It's about holding space for both the joy and the challenge. If we're going to do this, we need to face the hard truths together." His easy tone eased some of her tension, but another question lingered just beneath the surface. Could they really confront the tough issues and not buckle under pressure? Lily held the room's gaze, feeling the unity, yet she feared the uncharted waters ahead. "Let us start with the date," she declared suddenly, urgency rushing in. "If we set a date for the first meeting, we can make it real." Cheers erupted, but as the room buzzed with excitement, a small, timid voice broke through. "What if nobody comes?" A little girl stood by her mother's side, her big brown eyes filled with both hope and uncertainty. "What if they're all too scared?" The word struck Lily like a thunderclap. That little girl had voiced what so many could be feeling underneath their optimistic masks. The reality of her question hung heavy in the air. How could they ensure every voice, every fear felt validated? The thought gripped her, a tight knot twisting in her stomach. As ideas swirled around her, one thing became achingly clear. This journey would require far more than good intentions. It would require grace, patience, and above all, a willingness to truly listen beyond the surface. With a firm resolve, Lily looked at the little girl and smiled. "You're not alone in this. We'll all be afraid at times, but that's where courage comes in." But what if that wasn't enough? The anxiety knotted deep once more. Would the community truly rise together? Or would fear tear them apart before they could connect? With that heavy question ringing in her mind, Lily braced for the challenge ahead. Knowing the road was steep and fraught with emotion, she was just beginning to uncover the real journey, and it was bound to change everything. Lily stood at the front of the room, her heart pounding like a drum. The buzzing had quieted down, and now the faces before her held a mixture of hope and fear. They were looking to her for answers. They wanted to believe that this community could shift toward inclusivity, but deep down she knew the apprehension was real. Suddenly she had an idea. What if we hosted a community potluck? She suggested, her voice growing stronger. Everyone can bring their favorite dish. We can share meals, stories, and really get to know each other. A true coming together. A ripple of excitement spread through the crowd, but it was quickly tempered by Mr. Jenkins' skeptical voice. And what if some folks don't want to share? What if they're not ready? Lily felt her enthusiasm waver for a moment. That's okay, she quickly reassured him. We can leave it open-ended. Come if you feel like it. It's less about what we put on the table and more about showing up. The murmur of conversation built up again, voices overlapping as people started brainstorming what they might bring. Someone suggested baked beans, another shouted out about a famed apple pie. Laughter bounced around the room, a welcome relief from earlier tension, but Lily couldn't shake the worry etched into her heart. Then she spotted the little girl again, her innocence palpable. The child was gazing up at her, and it was as if she could see straight into Lily's soul, reading her uncertainty. Suddenly, all the unresolved doubts flooded back. Would this really make a difference? Before she could voice those concerns, Mrs. Henderson chimed in. We need to consider ways to reach the ones who might stay away. How about making invitations that represent everyone's backgrounds? We want to see all faces around our table. Exactly, Lily said, picking up on the momentum. What can we learn about making our invitations inclusive? Let us think of symbols or words that resonate with everyone. Mr. Donovan looked thoughtful. Could be a fun project for families to work on together. Maybe we can organize a crafting event. This way they feel they own the invitation. It's theirs to give. The room buzzed once more, energy bubbling over and washing away doubt. Ideas swirled like confetti in a celebration. Through all the voices, Lily felt an unmistakable shift. Ideas poured out with laughter and lightness, and hesitation began to erode like sand under the tide. It was exhilarating to feel the change sweeping through the room, but Lily's heart still ached with the weight of the little girl's question. Was this really enough? Would they get past the fears that were tugging at the edges of their hearts? As she scanned the room, she could see both the excitement and the fear in people's eyes. Some still sat with their arms crossed, wary of the transformation unfolding before them. What about us? They seemed to say. In that moment the room fell silent. Everyone was acutely aware of the tension hovering just behind the laughter. It was the calm before a storm, the longing for solutions giving way to the reality of resistance. Lily took a deep breath. I want us to understand that this won't be perfect, and that's okay, she said, her voice breaking through the quiet atmosphere. Together we'll rise to the challenge. No one is alone. The little girl smiled shyly, and that small gesture stirred something deep in Lily. If they could harness even that small drop of courage, they could create waves of change. But as Lily surveyed the crowd, she felt yet another shiver of doubt cross her mind. What if the very fears uniting them began to drive them apart? With one last glance at the anxious faces, she knew that pivoting into action would not be without struggle. Let us make the potluck a reality, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. And let us pair it with those invites. Everyone deserves to be part of this family. Will anyone stay away? Whispered the little girl again. Lily felt that familiar knot in her stomach tighten. As the sun streamed through the windows, illuminating the faces of her neighbors, she raised her head high, ready to face whatever came next. What came next was the sound of a single clap, followed by another. And soon applause erupted in the room. But deep down Lily feared the storm that might follow that hesitant cheer. Lily stood in the midst of the bursting energy. Laughter echoed and the hesitant applause filled the air. But each clap felt like heavy raindrops against her skin. It didn't take long for the clapping to fade, replaced by a more profound silence, as everyone returned to their thoughts. She could see the mixed expressions on their faces. For every smile there was a shadow of doubt. The hope she felt scattered like seeds into the wind, nourishing some, but landing with unanswered questions in others. Can we really do this? Someone whispered from the back. The question hung there stark and challenging. Lily opened her mouth to respond, but no words came. Instead, she focused on the little girl at the front. The child's eyes were wide and unwavering, full of trust and wonder. What if we wrote down our favorite memories? Lily suggested abruptly. We could hang them up at the potluck. It would be a way to share parts of our lives without diving too deep right away. Just bits and pieces like a mosaic. A woman nodded, the lines on her face softening. That's a beautiful idea. I can write about the summers at my grandmother's farm. Everyone should know how much that means to me. Encouraged by the shift, others began sharing their ideas. I can tell about Christmas at my aunt's, called a voice, almost shyly from a corner, igniting a small wildfire of stories. Yet Lily still felt the weight of the room's apprehension, wrapping around her like a dense fog. What about those who feel excluded? She asked tentatively. How do we reach them? The little girl's voice chimed back, clear as a bell. Then we find them. With a confidence that surprised even Lily, the girl continued, we could ask them. Maybe they just need a friend to help them come. That sparked a round of nods and murmured agreements. Even Mr. Jenkins, who had been skeptical, now sat up straighter. That's true, he conceded, a glimmer of respect in his eyes. It takes courage to speak up and pull in those who are on the outskirts. With that hope stirring, the chatter began to pick up again. Ideas flowed, anchoring them amidst uncertainties. But just as fast, Lily felt a heaviness creep back. What if they didn't follow through? The weight of the little girl's lingering question nested in her mind. Suddenly, another figure stepped forward. Mrs. Henderson, her voice filled with emotion, said, the tough part is being vulnerable. But it's worth seeing all faces together at one table. Tears stung Lily's eyes. Mrs. Henderson's words pierced through her own fears, creating a bridge between doubt and determination. They were stepping out together. Yet, there would still be tears and struggles along the way. They talked and planned, buzzing like bees in a garden. Every moment felt crucial, but the question of connection loomed over them, throbbing in the background as the evening wore on and people began to filter out. Lily lingered, watching the little girl play with a paper plate. The innocence of the child filled her with warmth. You believe we can do this, huh? Lily asked softly. The girl looked up, her smile lighting up the dimming room. I know we can. 'Cause if we try, we care. And we want everyone to be part of our family. Lily felt a crack in her heart widen, letting hope rush in like a fresh breeze after a long storm. They had to try. They had to show love, urgency and understanding. As she turned to leave, a thought struck her with the force of lightning. What if someone didn't want to join? What if they resisted, drawing lines instead of breaking them down? Sweeping through the room, the questions lingered in the air like a stubborn mist. But one thing was certain, the journey of reaching out had only just begun. As Lily stepped into the cool evening, the weight felt lighter, but the responsibility loomed large. Would they be brave enough to confront their fears? And could love truly transform their community? The answers awaited them just beyond the horizon. The next morning the sun streamed through the kitchen window, bathing everything in a warm glow. Lily sat at the table, coffee in hand, staring at the blank paper before her. She needed to outline the ideas that had sprung from their meeting. But all she could think of was the little girl's bright smile, echoing in the back of her mind like a sweet melody. As she scribbled down thoughts, her mind wandered back to the doubts that had lingered among her neighbors. Would they be able to break through the barriers that had kept them apart for so long? That nagging feeling gnawed at her. She didn't just want this to be another empty promise of community. She wanted to breathe life into it. A knock at the door jolted her back to reality. It was Mrs. Henderson. The older woman looked a bit frazzled, her hair slightly askew, yet her eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. Lily, I had an idea last night, and I couldn't wait to share it with you. Lily's heart raced with excitement. What is it? I thought about the memories we're going to share. What if we turned it into a weekend festival? Mrs. Henderson's words spilled out in a rush, her voice brimming with energy. Games, food, stories, everyone could share something special. And we'd invite the whole neighborhood. Lily's thoughts danced with possibilities. A festival. What a beautiful way to bring everyone together. That could work, she replied, her voice growing stronger with every word. We can set up booths, and even have a storytelling corner where everyone can share their memories. As they brainstormed, the ideas multiplied. A potluck dinner could spotlight family recipes, while local musicians could offer performances. They envisioned families gathering, laughter bouncing off the walls, and kids running around, lost in their own joyful world. But Lily's heart still carried a weight. Do you think everyone would feel welcomed? She asked, her brow furrowing slightly. Mrs. Henderson paused, recognition dawning in her eyes. That's our job, isn't it? To make sure no one feels left out, just like that little girl reminded us, Mrs. Henderson replied firmly. We'll need to reach out actively and invite them in. Call them, visit them, and share our plans. We can't let fear stop us. As they continued mapping out the festival on the kitchen table, the doorbell rang again. This time it was a group of children, led by that same little girl, her face a blossom of unyielding optimism. Can we help? She asked, eyes sparkling with eagerness. Behind her stood other neighborhood kids, ready to jump in and contribute. Lily felt her heart swell. Absolutely. We can use all the help we can get. The group leaked enthusiasm into the room, connecting with the flowing ideas between Lily and Mrs. Henderson. They dived into work, spreading the magic of possibility. Posters were drawn with vibrant colors, promising a day filled with fun and togetherness. Amid the bustling excitement, Lily's voice found her again. What if we also included a special corner for those who can't join in person? She suggested. We could create a way for them to share their memories, maybe through video messages or written notes, just to ensure everyone has a voice, no matter where they are. The children nodded, inspired by Lily's idea. In every heart, the fire of connection burned brighter. This was becoming more than just an event. It was transforming into a true gathering of their community. But as they worked, Lily couldn't shake the nagging worry in her mind. What if someone said no, not just to the festival, but to being part of this new vision? With a deep breath, she resolved to push those thoughts aside. She had a feeling they would overcome together if they leaned into love and understanding. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a golden hue on the neighborhood, Lily stood by the window watching the children play. She felt hope washing over her like a wave. If they could harness that joy, perhaps there was a way to break down even the most well-fortified walls. But that nagging question remained: would the festival spark the connection they yearned for? Or would it reveal greater divides than they had anticipated? The next day, Lily woke with renewed purpose. Sunbeams danced across her bedroom, filling it with warmth that mirrored her heart. She was exhausted but exhilarated, a feeling she hadn't had in a long time. Today would be a day of planning, reaching out and transforming dreams into reality. And the kitchen, Mrs. Henderson was busy preparing snacks for their next meeting. I spoke to a few people already, she said, her cheeks flushed with excitement. They love the idea. Even Mr. Thompson down the street is in. Lily's eyes widened. Mr. Thompson was a notorious recluse who hardly interacted with anyone. Really? That's fantastic, she exclaimed, anticipation bubbling in her chest. Exactly. And he has an amazing garden. We could feature his fresh produce at the festival. The conversation flowed easily, as they shared ideas about the layout of the festival, potential performances, and which neighbors they would invite. Each suggestion ignited Lily's spirit further, and soon the table was littered with notes, sketches, and an outline of an event that felt more significant than just a festival. It was becoming a tapestry woven of hopes and shared experiences. With her mind racing from all the possibilities, a ring at the door interrupted her thoughts. It was the little girl from yesterday, holding a piece of handmade artwork. Look, I made this for the festival, she said, bouncing slightly on her feet. Lily bent down, admiring the crayon-drawn banners proclaiming fun and friendship in bright colors. This is beautiful. Can I hang it up? Yes. I want everyone to see, the girl beamed, her innocence radiating hope. As Lily carefully pinned the artwork on the wall, she noticed it was beginning to feel like a community hub. It was a small space, but it was alive with ideas, laughter, and the vibrant energy of collaboration. Later that afternoon, they decided to make their first outreach visit. Mrs. Henderson suggested starting with the Andersons, a family that had moved in across the street. They had always seemed distant, keeping to themselves ever since the incident with their son. Lily felt a pang of nervousness as they approached the door, but she knew they had to take the leap. After some hesitation, Mr. Anderson opened the door. He looked surprised but not unfriendly. Hello, he greeted cautiously. We're planning a community festival to celebrate our neighborhood. Lily blurted out, a bright smile plastered on her face. We'd love for you and your family to join us. Mr. Anderson's expression shifted from surprise to guarded curiosity. A festival? Yes. We're hoping to bring everyone together for fun, stories, and maybe a potluck. It will be a great way to meet everyone, she elaborated enthusiastically. He remained silent for a moment. Behind him, Lily caught sight of his wife and little boy, who peeked from the kitchen. She could feel a palpable tension in the air. We appreciate the invite. I'll need to talk to my wife, he said finally, hesitation thick in his voice. I understand. But please know that we truly want everyone to feel welcome. Just let us know if you'd like to join. With that they exchanged farewells, and as they walked away, Lily's heart felt heavy. She hoped they wouldn't close the door completely. When she got back home, the little girl approached with a question that pierced her. What if Mr. Anderson doesn't want to come? Lily knelt down so they were at eye level. What if he does? We can't know unless we invite him, she replied, holding on to the flicker of hope within her. As night fell, casting long shadows across the street, Lily felt the moment's weight. Would they have the courage to meet the neighbors they had shied away from? She tightly gripped the little girl's hand, drawing strength from her. In that moment, she realized their festival wasn't just about celebrating. It was about healing. The divisions could only fall if they stood together. But deep in her heart, the nagging doubts crept back in. Could they truly reach those who had built walls around themselves? The festival seemed to loom closer, yet with every step they took forward, new fears emerged. Would they be ready for the unexpected challenges that awaited them? Lily woke up with the sun shining brightly in her window. Today was the day. As she got dressed, she felt a flutter of excitement mixed with nerves. The festival was only 2 days away, and each moment counted. She hurried downstairs where the smell of pancakes filled the air. Mrs. Henderson was flipping them, her smile warm and inviting. Are you ready for today, Lily? She asked, her eyes twinkling. I think so, Lily replied, her voice bubbling with nervous energy. I'm just worried about how everyone will feel when they come together. That's natural, Mrs. Henderson said, pausing to pat Lily's shoulder. But remember, it's all about opening hearts and connecting. No matter what happens, we're taking steps forward. Lily nodded, feeling a little more reassured. They spent the morning finalizing plans, crafting colorful banners, and packing up delicious food to bring. Each task brought them closer to the promise of community and togetherness that had been painstakingly woven over the past few weeks. Later in the afternoon, Lily gathered her friends, including that brave little girl whose determination had sparked so much inspiration. They made a plan to visit the Andersons again, to personally invite them to the festival. When they reached the door, Lily could feel her heart racing like a drum, hoping this time they might say "Was Amar." Anderson answered again, surprise painting his features, but this time, he softened almost immediately at the sight of the children. You're back, he said cautiously, glancing back at his family behind him. We just wanted to let you know how important it is to us to see you there, Lily said, her voice steadying as she continued. This festival is a chance to discover the joy we can all share. We'd love for you to come and bring your family. Lily could see the spark of interest flicker in Mr. Anderson's eyes, yet caution still lingered. I appreciate the invitation. I can't promise anything, but I'll talk to my wife again. Hope blossomed in Lily's heart, but on the walk back home, that familiar feeling of doubt weighed her down. What if he still doesn't come? The little girl's voice fluttered beside her. But Lily, feeling her determination surge, replied, what if he changes his mind? This is the moment to take action. As festival day dawned, the air buzzed with anticipation. Bright decorations adorned the park, laughter floated around, and delicious smells mingled in the warm breeze. Friends and families began arriving, bringing not just food but hope and stories. Lily took a deep breath, her heart filled with joy and nerves as she wandered through the thrumming crowd. Hours passed with games, music, and stories shared under the shade of trees. But as the sun dipped lower in the sky, she felt the weight of anticipation again. Would the Andersons truly come? Just as she began to lose hope, she spotted a familiar figure standing at the edge of the park. Mr. Anderson, his wife, and little boy stood there, cautiously observing. They came. Lily nearly squealed in delight, excitement surging through her. Gathering her courage, she rushed toward them, her friends trailing behind. I'm so glad you made it, she said, her eyes sparkling. Please come join us. What an incredible gathering, Mr. Anderson replied, relaxing as he stepped forward. We're happy to be here. As they mingled, each laugh and shared story began to dissolve barriers. Lily watched as community unfolded all around her, weaving the laughter and love of strangers into a beautiful tapestry that now embraced everyone. Then, something magical happened. As dusk settled, they gathered for the storytelling session, each willing to share memories that helped bridge the gaps of the past. When Lily stood up to share her own story, she felt a wave of recognition wash over her. This wasn't just her festival anymore. It was theirs, a shared heart beating in unison. After sharing about the joys that Maplewood had gifted her, she turned to the crowd. This festival was born from love for our homes, and love for one another, she said, her eyes brimming with emotion. Together, we can build a future that honors our histories and embraces every new story. The crowd erupted in applause, cheers echoing like music under the darkening sky. Just then, Mrs. Henderson raised her voice. Let us not forget that it wasn't just about getting together. It was about healing. Lily's heart swelled. She could see Mr. Anderson nodding, softening to the energy of the friendship surrounding him. The laughter and connection flowed on long into the evening, and it became clear. Had they not taken this leap, they might have continued along uncertain paths, unable to truly know one another. As the festival wound down and the stars twinkled overhead, a feeling of warmth radiated within Lily. They had made it work, embracing each other without erasing their roots. Lily, the little girl said, squeezing her hand, what happens next? Lily looked out at the smiling faces, the new friendships blossoming, and felt ready for anything. We keep talking, keep sharing, and remind ourselves that we're all family now. In that beautiful moment, Lily knew they could weather anything life threw their way as long as they held each other dearly. And that was just the beginning. This is your time to reflect on what you've just experienced. Subscribe immediately to the channel, and don't miss more exclusive stories that touch your heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and help others discover this incredible journey. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who could use a little inspiration. You need to show your support. And don't wait not even one more second to share.